How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing well.
So, it's almost 6 years that I've lived in Tennessee now, and just coming in this morning, it was absolutely beautiful. I'm still awestruck by how beautiful the landscape is in this state. And then I saw everybody starting to pull in and everything, and my heart rate rose just a little bit more. So, I know I was supposed to do something on superstitions and beliefs, but I changed it to myths and beliefs. And at the end of this, I'll kind of tie it in together, and hopefully my ramblings aren't too crazy. But first off, there are definitely differences to a myth and a belief. However, sometimes they may seem one and the same and very interchangeable. The meaning of the two could be interpreted differently according to the person's point of view as well. So I'm going to give dictionary.com's definitions of these words. Myth, a tradition, story, especially concerning the early history of people, or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. And then we have the definition for a belief, which is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists, or religious conviction. So I'm going to go over a couple of different myths. What we may perceive as myths to us, but may in truth be a belief to somebody else. You know, the eye of the beholder. And every civilization, ancient or modern, has a set of myths about their origins and their history, and sometimes to tell a story that they can't really socially explain about supernatural or unexplainable events. So the first myth, and these are just going to be little short synopsis of each myth. I'm not going to read the whole myth out because some of them would take forever. But the first one is a pretty well known, St. George and the Dragon. I'm sure some of you know of it. And according to the Golden Legend, St. George, who was raised by Christian parents, was born in Cappadocia, Rome, during the Roman army or Roman times. While traveling in Libya, he stumbled upon a village that was plagued by a dragon that lived nearby. And the people offered sacrifices daily, and it just wasn't enough for the dragon. On the day of St. George's arrival, it was the king's daughter that was supposed to be offered up as a sacrifice. And so the village people, in order to get the village people there to convert into Christianity, St. George said he would slay the dragon. So they agreed to these terms, and he therefore slayed the dragon. So in this myth, we have a hero, St. George. We have him ridding a village of a dragon, which could be perceived as evil, or the devil, or any way the beholder looks at it, any point of view that you might have towards it. So that it falls into the line of myth, but it's a myth that's actually within the Christian religion. So there are people that believe parts of it to be true. This next one I'm doing is kind of anybody who's heard of the god Enkidu from the Epic of Gilgamesh. The first mention of the wild man is in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which was written more than 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. And in the story, Enkidu is an uncivilized savage who was raised by animals, kind of like an ancient version of the Jungle Book. He was in turn taught to be civilized by a prostitute, and admonished by the wild animals because he had their scent on him. Pardon me. I'm a little nervous. Up till now, Enkidu is kind of the embodiment of the natural world. From the point Enkidu becomes the companion to Gilgamesh until his death. And reeling from the death of his friend, Gilgamesh, Enkidu seeks out immortality so as to not suffer the same fate. However, after defeating the bull of heaven, the gods impart a slow and torturous death for Enkidu. So, Okay, now again, this is, we have the hero or point of view hero and Keenan in this, and he's in here trying to do something that other people are thinking is mythological, but again, to these people, they believed it to be true. And I was going to do one on the Myrmidons, but I decided to switch it over to the Native American, the Navajo creation myth. And again, this is a shortened version of it, so it won't take as long as you might think. Before this world existed and far below it, the first world lay in darkness. Here lived 6 beings, first man, first woman, salt woman, fire god, coyote, and Begochitty, the golden-haired child of the sun. Begochitty made 4 mountains in the first world, white to the east, blue to the south, yellow to the west, and black to the north. Then Begochitty made insects and plants. The conflicts arose, and the first beings, tired of the first world and its darkness, decided to leave. At the center of the first world, Begochitty made a red mountain and planted a giant reed. The first beings gathered of Begochitty's creations and crawled inside the hollow reed. Now the reed grew and carried them into the second world, emerging from the darkness of the first world. Lost my place. In the second world, which was blue, Begochitty created still more new things. When the cat people who lived in the second world fought the newcomers, first man used magic to overcome them. Conflicts again disrupted the harmony of this world. So this is a recurring theme. We have conflicts that are disrupting the harmony, so they're going to emerge from that conflict into a new world. And the first beings collected their possessions and traveled in the giant reed up to the third world. So again, they're leaving this world due to conflict and darkness. I don't know why this did this, but okay. The third world was beautiful, yellow, and filled with light. Begochitty created rivers and springs, animals, birds, trees, and lightning, and many kinds of human beings. When the men and women began to quarrel, Begochitty separated them, but they were so unhappy that Begochitty reunited them, warning that the third world would be flooded if there was any more trouble. And then Coyote, which if you look at a lot of different creation myths or world beliefs, there's always some sort of coyote or trickster embedded within their stories. And then Coyote caused trouble. Walking by the fire, he spied in the water a baby with long black hair. He lifted the baby from the river and hid it under his blanket, telling no one. Colorful storms and torrential rains approached from all directions. Everyone fled to the protective hollow of the giant reed, which carried them upward. But the reed stopped growing before it reached the next world. So Locust helped Begochitty make a new hole that led to the fourth world, an island surrounded by water. And this last little paragraph to this myth here. Seeing the water still rising in the third world, Begochitty asked who had angered the water monster. Coyote tightened his blanket about his body, and Begochitty ordered him to open it. There was the water baby. Coyote returned the baby to the third world, and the waters receded. In the fourth world, Begochitty set out the mountains and placed the moon, the sun, the stars in the sky. Begochitty taught everyone the right way to live, including how to care for plants such as corn, squash, and beans, and how to give thanks. So a lot of Navajo people still believe that right now we're in the fourth world of their creation myth, that those times are now. But to us, it's presented in society as a myth. To them, it is a belief. So we're going to tie that in a little bit with the two words. Okay. Now moving on. So now I'm going to go into a couple different established beliefs throughout the world. And the first one, being first on the list, I figured I'd go with Zoroastrianism. It's the world's oldest religion, oldest still practicing religion, and widely thought to believe the first monotheistic religion. So it's an ancient Persian religion from as early as 4,000 years ago. Perceived to be the first monotheistic religion, as well as being one of the oldest still in existence. It was a state religion of 3 different Persian dynasties. So now this is setting it up. It has a backing. It has a resume. 3 different Persian dynasties until the Muslim conquest in the 7th century. Still a minority religion in Iran. It's also a minority religion in parts of India, because when that Muslim conquest came, the Zoroastrian followers moved down to parts of India. This is to demonstrate that this belief system was an established institution with doctrine. Zoroaster, whom is read about in Zoroastrian scriptures, is considered to be the founder, dating between 1500 to 1200 BC, according to archaeological and linguistic evidence. But some people also believe that he might have been a contemporary of Cyrus the Great. They worship a single god named Ahura Mazda. So now we have a single all-present being that they believe in. And these are some of the beliefs that they have. That Ahura Mazda is omniscient, knows everything, omnipotent, all-powerful, omnipresent, and is everywhere. Impossible for humans to conceive or imagine in any way. Unchanging and the creator of life and the source of all goodness and happiness. Pardon me. So that's just a little short synopsis about Zoroastrianism. Now we see how it's, unlike a myth which isn't necessarily established as a religion, it's just kind of part of a religion. Now we have an established religion with, an impressive resume, apparently. It's still in existence today. There's 100,000 to 200,000 still practicing? Maybe, somewhere around there. Okay, so the second one I'm going to go into is Hinduism, which I hope I don't mess this up, because I know Casey will yell at me. So Hinduism has traditionally been considered polytheistic, but maybe better described as henotheistic, or the worship of one particular god while still believing in other gods. Because most monotheistic religions say there's one God. You will not believe in any other God. You will believe in this God. So, Hinduism not only has that one main central God, but it has thousands and thousands of other little everyday gods. And they believe in the Holy Trinity. They have Brahma, who's the creator, and all, these all go together here in a minute. You got Brahma, who's the creator, Vishnu, who's the keeper of the universe, and Shiva, who's the destroyer. And the Trinity come together, and they create this Brahman transcendent power. Okay? So, and some of the goals that Hinduism has in their life. So now we're establishing this as a belief system. They have Dharma, which is pursuing virtuous behavior and fulfilling one's life's duty. They have a caste system, which is something I'm not going to go into because it's very detailed, but you're basically born into what you're going to do in life, and they just want you to do that the best you can, no matter what level or what caste you're in. Arthra, which is pursuing and acquiring success and wealth, doing what you do to the best of your ability, and just trying to be successful with it. They have Kama, which is pursuing pleasure in all its forms, self-explanatory. Moksha is pursuing salvation, a way of ritual and action, knowledge and meditation and devotion. So with the ritual and action, you're performing your duty, and which is a sacred and moral responsibility in that society. You have knowledge and meditation, which is realizing that you are one with God. Striving to realize that. You are one with the universe. Devotion, different rituals, prayer and singing. So you got different rituals that you have to perform for this established God that you have, whether it be your daily God or the main omnipresent God. So that establishes this as a belief system. Now the last one I'm going to do, none of you can get mad at me because I'm taking it directly from the website, but I'm going to do UU. And this is from the UU website. So, and this is under the section that is beliefs, and so it's in Unitarian Universalism. You can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, your expansive heart. Together we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not have to check our personal background and beliefs at the door. We join together on a journey that honors everywhere we've been before. Our beliefs are diverse and inclusive. We have no shared creed. Our shared covenant, our 7 principles, supports the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Though Unitarianism and Universalism were both liberal Christian traditions, this responsible search has led us to embrace diverse teachings from Eastern and Western religions and philosophies. Unitarian Universalists believe more than one thing. We think for ourselves and reflect together about important questions: the existence of a higher power, life and death, sacred texts, prayers, and spiritual practices. We are united in our broad and inclusive outlook, and in our values as expressed in our 7 principles, which I'm going to read here in a minute. We are united in shared experience, our open and stirring worship services, religious education, and rites of passage, our work for social justice, our quest to include the marginalized, and our expressions of love. So now I'm just going to do just a quick reading of the 7 principles, which, you know, being a UU church, we should read once in a while anyways. So I know some of you know these very well. The first one being the principle is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Okay? The second principle is justice, equality, and compassion in human relations. So treat everybody just, equal, and just be, you know, good ambassadors of the human race, basically. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We have people of all different types in here, of different religions, different belief systems, different moral systems, different you know, levels in society. But we all still come together and we're respectful of one another. A free and responsible search for the truth and meaning. That's the 4th principle. The 5th is the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and society at large. So that's pretty self-explanatory. There's not going to be, you know, we got to be democratic in the way we approach things. Everywhere we go, we have to take in other people's concerns. We have to think about them. We have to express our concerns or our joys. You know, so, you know, there's got to be a two-way street with that. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. That's the 6th one. And the 7th is respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are all a part of. And see, the reason why I'm ending the established belief system with that one is because that kind of ties everything together. Whether you believe in a myth in here, it's not perceived as a myth to you. To us or somebody else it might be. But we should all be respectful of the fact that you might believe that myth. Or vice versa. You might believe in something that others may perceive as a myth. But to you it is ingrained in your belief system, all in your core, every way you look at it. So we need to understand sometimes that maybe they don't understand that, so we need to talk about that and have that discussion. And that's why after we do a talk, we usually circle the wagons and have a talk back in here. That way everybody can get together and express what they believe and what they think about every topic that we go over. And I think that's a very impressive way about impressive way about doing things. So with that, I'm going to end. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll have a short coffee break and come back and talk about it.
Okay. Thank you.